Yeah.
Finally, there
Alright,
we
here we go. Of course, so we finally get this started and he joins. Alright, what's going on at CHL? It's your boy Rikizi on the first episode of CHL Overtime. Alongside, I have my AGM, Quinn. Quinn, go ahead and give yourself a little
Hello.
introduction.
Um, Hi guys. I've been in this league for a while, a couple seasons, and I've managed kind of all over the place. And this season, I decided to take AGM with Breck Easy on Shikoopme. So, yeah. Yeah, Cheap's next.
Hi, I'm Cheap. I think you already know who I am. Yeah, happy to be here. CHL Overtime, the one and only.
Alright, hold on, someone's got an echo.
I don't hear it.
That's BB or something.
I don't hear an
Not
echo.
mine, it's cheap.
I fixed it.
I'm not hearing anything either.
It was Cheap.
Alright.
Cheap's a scumbag.
Sick show, boys.
Alright, well, Patan's next, I think.
I'm Patan. This is my second season in LG. I managed the Worcester Sharks last year, and it was terrible. And this season, I decided to take on CHL GM to try and build my own team and see how it went. Next is BB Prince.
Alright guys, I'm BB Prince 10. Now I just changed my gamer tag to be Major, so last season I was GM of the Kitchen Rangers in CHL. Wasn't necessarily the best team in the world, but this season I'm looking to redeem myself with Sarnia. This is my first season on CHL Overtime. Thanks to Burkisi and Cheap for letting me on the show. It's an honor.
You're welcome.
Alright, first things first, we're going to get our little reminders out for the media. Tomorrow we will be releasing our first power rankings. Everything through there is going to be ran to Golden, so if anything goes not well, just talk to him about it. Cheap, you were talking about how you had media coming out. What were you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm going to be sending out a couple messages to a couple members of the league. I'm going to interview, and I'm going to try and get two of them out by Sunday, hopefully. Maybe Monday, we'll see how it goes. And yeah, a couple other things in the work, but for now, for this week, it's going to be interviews.
Alrighty, and BB, you as well were talking about something pretty interesting. You want to explain that?
Yeah, so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing player montages, like on players that are tearing it up in the CHL. I already got a couple of players that I'm thinking about doing. It's just a matter of asking them and seeing whether they're interested in doing it. So if you think you're tearing up the league personally, and just shoot me a private message or something, and I can see if we can work something out here.
How's that going to work? Are you going to get game clips or something? Or
Yeah,
what's the plan
I'll
for
probably
that?
just what I'll probably do is I'll probably just create a player, just make a custom created player, put their name, put their person's name and number on there, and probably just get some filthy highlights of them.
Right on.
Alrighty, well, that is, as of right now, everything that we have planned. Right now we're going to go into our first discussion. For some reason, in week one, everyone decided to forget that leaders could only play 3 games and goalies can only play 6. I mean, it's been a simple rule in LG for I don't know how many seasons and has never changed. I don't understand why people are going through all that trouble because now all the stats are going to be redeemed and everything's going to be taken away. It's just, and it kills the league. It kills the other players from getting a playing opportunity, and it's just not well. Chief, what do you think about it?
Well, I mean, it seems like a lot of new management this season, and some of the people just don't know the rules yet. I mean, week one was obviously going to be a bit rocky, but I mean, there was way too many teams playing people too often. I mean, who was it? Who played that goalie 8 games?
I think it was Victoriaville.
Victoriaville. I
It
mean,
was,
yeah, come on, man. Like, You
Sorry,
got to know a
Victoriaville.
goalie can't play every game. I mean, that's uncalled for. You can't explain that one. But I mean, there was a couple of issues here and there. Maybe new managers didn't know the rules. And I'm hoping it gets cleaned up for week 2. Otherwise, we're gonna keep talking about it, and people don't like us for talking about it. But it's the rules. I mean, sorry, but you got to play by the rules.
Yeah.
Quinn, what do you think about it? Sorry, Aces.
Yeah, it's okay. Everybody's used to calling me my name. It's alright. Yeah, I mean, it's, as Brooke said, it's been a pretty generic rule in this league since I've been in it, and it's just like it ruins people's games because it's like other people don't get to play, more people have to play against the best players in the league, and it's like, and then people are trying to cover it up with rules that aren't even correct and trying to like just cover their asses on it, and it's just play by the rules. Just play everybody 3 games. It's not hard. Just use your TC. New rule this season that they said is that TC can play 2 games for CHL, so that should help everybody. Just play everybody normally, please. Too much of a hassle.
That rule came out of nowhere, by the way. I didn't see that until 7th post. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I didn't see anything preseason about that.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
They said that they had just ruled on it, and they decided because of this that they're making it 2 games.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tan, you got any thoughts on the subject?
You guys covered it pretty well. Honestly, when you take on the spot of general manager, you got to know the rules. Like, you have to know the basic gist of the rules. And like you guys said, the fact that like half the GMs don't know this rule, it's ruining the league. It's ruining the experience for the new players that come in, and it could really hurt in the long run. I think it's brutal. Like Victoriaville playing six games for one of their right defenders.
And their goalie was 8.
Yeah, their goalie was 8.
It's just, like, that's horrible. 1 game is understandable, but like playing somebody 3 games over, that's like,
It's not even like you
That's
can
insane.
mix those rules up with other leagues. Like, yeah, IOHL, you're allowed 6 or something like that. You played them 8. Like, I don't know what league you think this is. Like, it's unbelievable. We'll leave it at that.
DB, any thoughts?
You guys, like you said, you guys pretty much kind of covered it mostly well. But like you said, like I'm gonna say there's no point in playing a goalie 8 games and a right D 6 games. Like anybody on my team can tell you, I had to deal with the crappiest availability. I had to forfeit a total of 3 games this week. The last 3 games of the season we had to forfeit. But you didn't see me using all of my players 4 or 5 times a week. Because if I didn't know the rules, I would have. Or if I was just sitting here intending to break rules and just trying to do whatever the hell I wanted to, I would just play. I would play I could play the same line however many times I would, but there's no point in that. They've had this rule for what? Like I think Chiefs
Forever.
they've had this
As long as
forever.
I've been here, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I came in season 18. They've had that ever since then. The only thing that's changed was the whole thing with
It's been
TC
for quite a
players.
while.
Yeah, they've had this rule for quite a while. This
Yeah.
should not even be discussed right now. It shouldn't even be a problem in my opinion.
Yeah.
This is
funny.
why we can't have nice things.
It's funny though, you bring up the availability this week. I think I experienced it too. There has been a lot of trouble trying to get guys out for games, and I think that just comes with the CHL. I'm used to the AHL last season where everyone's there half an hour early, but I'm not trying to blame anyone, but these guys, everybody in this league, this is a pro tip for everyone. Get on an hour before your game. Get some warm-up games in, or you're going to lose. I can guarantee it. You start playing good teams, these guys play together all day. So when you come in here at game time and you wonder why you get shit on like 10-0, like it's pretty obvious in my eyes.
Yeah. And
There's
like
my
in
rant.
our
That's it.
in our instance, I actually got yelled at by Breck, and then he later apologized because I had to twice this week. I had to use 2 of our roster defense on forward, and we had no other defensemen. And then I also had to use one of our defense in a different line, and so it was all over the place. Like, I don't think the only line that stayed together this week was Breck's line, and we still won 9 of our games. Like, most of our guys were on early, and most of our guys play together outside of the league. But like as Chief said, be on early to warm up and stuff because it makes a drastic difference. So
I'm keeping a tally of how many times you guys bring up Shaku to me.
Dude, go ahead. It's fine. We're undefeated. We get to.
I'll let you guys know at the end how many times you bring it up.
Alright, we're going to go into our next little discussion. Last time we had the CHL Overtime, we had, I think it was a really good question that was brought up, and we're going to bring it up again, is what you guys think is the most important position, like defense, goaltending, and offense in the CHL? Steve, what do you think?
Well, I think it all depends on what kind of game you want to play as a team. Now, if you have a high-powered offensive team and you can control the puck down in other team zones, you can get away with having a average defender, maybe a subpar goalie. But that comes from teams who have drafted for that style of play. If you just kind of took guys based on this guy's a good player, oh, he's a good defender, oh, he's a good goalie, then yeah, defense is probably the most important. I mean, you have to protect that net in this league because there's going to be a lot of goals that go in that shouldn't be going in. A lot of breaks are going to happen in the middle of the ice, and guys are going to get on breakaways. You have to have solid defense, in my opinion.
BB, what do you think?
He kind of touched on it there. You know, there's going to be a lot of defensive lapses in this game. The CHL and the AHL, I can't stand it when people say that there's no difference in the two leagues. I saw somebody on Twitter maybe 2 months ago saying, I don't get the difference between CHL and NHL. There's basically no difference. Whoever the hell said that, I forgot who it was, but you are completely wrong on that, in my opinion. Defense is... I forgot who it was, legitimately. It was something said like in the shout box or Twitter or something, but defense wins championships, as one wise man said. Like I can't explain to you how many times that I've had games get screwed over just because of our defense letting go of breakaways and stuff like that. I just think that, you know, the goaltender can't do them by himself. I just think that the defense is way more important than having the super high powered offense. You can have the best offense you have, but your defense is letting go of 5-6 breakaways a game. There's a small chance you're going to be able to win games consistently. So I gotta go with defense on this one.
Yeah.
Patan, what do you think?
I'm gonna have to shy away from defense on this one. I gotta say goaltending is probably the most important in my opinion. I think if you have a balanced enough team, like rarely you're gonna have a team full of great players that know how to play good sixes. I think personally, in CHL in particular, you're gonna get a lot of guys who aren't very experienced as far as good positioning and making good plays. And I personally think that you really need a goalie that can bail you out when you mess up. Or I think that you're going to lose a lot of games that way if you don't have a goalie that can do that.
I can agree with that. I mean, I've been involved in games in the CHL where a goalie has stolen games from me on countless occasions.
Yeah.
It's definitely a good role to find a good player, but not pay $10 million for it.
In a way, I can agree with that. Goalies can really steal the show. Season 4 on Kamloops, we had a series with the Vancouver Giants. Yeah, shut up. There was a goalie, Quacks, easily one of the toughest goalies I've ever had to face. His team was awful, but he would just steal the show. There was one game where I threw my little fit and said that, oh, EA this, EA that, and because on my screen it would show him like completely out of position, but on his screen, like he would record it, and on his screen he was in position every time. So they sit there and you're like, well, good God, we actually found someone that actually knew what they were doing, and we didn't even know it. Coming into this season, I actually thought offense was going to be the biggest key, honestly, because in the CHL, you're going to find one or two really great defensemen on each roster, but other than that, offense is really going to carry you. But I mean, playing the way that we do with our team, we depend solely on defense because you got to think just about everybody in the CHL is a lower player, like is in twos and threes, so they're used to that rush style and whatnot, and
Yeah.
it's not really hard to stop. So I mean, defense is
Y-
what really is the key.
Yeah, you don't see a lot
Yeah.
of teams setting up in the CHL, that's for sure.
No. Like, I'm gonna say the exact same thing I said last time when I was on this show in season 3, and that's, um, I think it's a combination of both defense and goalie. Like, you have to have a good goalie, yeah, but if you have good defense that knows where the goalie wants them to be, that makes it all the better. Like, for example, 2-on-1s, if the defense is in communication with the goalie and is in the right position, you're good. And me being a goalie, I rely on my defense, and like defense, in my opinion, is just the most important because if they can stop shots from coming through, if they can stop those cross creases, you only need to put up a goal or two a game, provided you have a decent enough goalie, 3 goals a game, and you're going to win. So that's what I think.
That's the biggest key for you guys, right? Stopping the other team from shooting on you.
Now all I do is score,
Yeah.
so stopping's no issue.
Yeah, because I'm Swiss cheese.
Yeah, they got Doctor. I can't stop a beach ball right there.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go to our first segment. It's Ace's 3 stars and not 3 stars of the week. You want to explain how you're doing this because right
Yeah,
off the name, it's not gonna
it's
sound.
it's it's different from last time. I did this in season 3, and basically I did just players. Now I'm going to kind of a more wide format where basically I go over 3 kind of good teams, management, or players in the league during the week, and then 3 not so good things that have happened, and maybe a couple honorable mentions I have this week. So I think I'm going to start with the knots this time. Um, and so my third star or not star is Sudbury and their signing of Violent Fetus, $10 million goalie, who not only is extremely overpaid, but only played 1 game this week and had a 5.0 GAA and a .76. Paying that much for a goalie, and now he's on IR too. It's like, Um,
Didn't he play
my
defense a couple games too?
Yeah,
He
two
only
Play
games.
too.
Oh, he did play defense. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so you pay 10 mil for a goalie and then you play him on defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
Works.
My second not star is the Quebec Ramparts, however you want to say it. For their overplaying of a couple of their players. I know that there was teams that overplayed players more, but these guys tried to cover it with a rule that they didn't even know the proper rule. So they ended up saying, oh yeah, you can play a guy 4 games if in an emergency situation, but they didn't actually read it. That's if there's 10 games a week for a reschedule or something. So yeah, know your rules, kids. Um, uh, my number 1 is going to be Victoriaville, and their overplaying of players drastically. I know that they played a goalie 8 games. I think one of you guys said earlier that they played a defenseman 6 games. I must have missed that, but that's ridiculous. Like, 1 game maybe you missed by accident. Playing a guy like 3 extra games, that's so bad. And then my honorable mentions are going to be Sean again, going 0-9 this week with 12 goals for and 51 goals against. That's pretty bad.
And don't
That
forget
is pretty
that big
bad.
contract for Mr. Fourth Line Wording and not doing too much with it.
Yeah, exactly. And then my other honorable mention, gotta throw this in here, is Zach, who's had some issues.
Hashtag free Zach.
Yeah. Looking like he's going to be out of the league here. Now, I'm not going to say too much because there's been a lot of shit talking about him in the forums, and it's been kind of harsh, so I'm not really going to go into it, but I just thought I'd throw that in there. So now, now on to my 3 stars. My third star is going to be a pretty generic one, and it's just the other GMs in general. I feel that the GMs this week have done a really good job. Stats have been getting put in almost right after games. There's been not really many complaints or issues from what I've seen. So I think everybody's doing a fairly good job.
I've been playing people too
Now
much.
I'm gonna, yeah, most of them. Now I'm gonna go into kind of shameless plugs for people in this overtime group here.
Hold on, let me
Um,
jot this down. That's another tally.
Not yet, not yet. My number 2 star is gonna be Mr. iCheap over here for leading his team, who went 5-4. I don't know how many points you had. I didn't get it, but you're tied for second in the league in points, and one of those guys is one of the guys that overplayed De Kaiser. So you're
He's
up there.
average, but thank you.
Hey, Chief, how'd you do against a good team?
Yeah, but
I got
he
2 points. I threw down.
overplayed games. So he overplayed games.
Sorry, Quinn, what? You're lagging.
Yeah, I was just saying you're
He's
lagging.
gone.
Quinn, take a second and let your shit load.
There we go.
Yeah, but you
Yo, is there
my
anybody
number
still here?
one. Yeah, and then
Alright.
my number one is gonna be shameless plug Chakutmi, going 9-0. Not trying to be yeah. Shut up, cheap. Not trying to be biased at all, but we did go 9-0. We did play really well. We have like 37 time on attack difference, which I've never seen, and that's thanks to our forwards. So I'm not really going to say much just because it's our team, so I don't really want to get into being biased, but we did go 9-0, so that's why I put us at number 1. Yeah, so I'm just going to keep doing this every week. I'll try not to put us or anybody in here on here too much, but I felt this week that 2 people and 3, I guess, deserved being on there, so yeah.
All right. Well, that was interesting. Yeah, we're going to go into teams that we think performed a lot better than we anticipated. I'll start off on this one. I did not expect Kingston to start out 6-3. I looked at their roster and I honestly kind of laughed at it. I just don't see much there, but obviously it's working. Playmaker, he went through a lot of issues as management because he went from my AGM and then I dropped him, and then he went, and then he went to Zach's AGM, and then during our team selection draft, he actually got asked to be a GM because Ice Cubano wasn't allowed to GM anymore because of personal work issues. So he got his own team, and then all of a sudden, he's at the top of the standings. Let's see. Another team that I had was the Battalion. I figured that they would be like a 500 team, and I think that one of those games is probably going to be overturned. But still, you have De Kaiser, and he absolutely just lit up London.
Mm-hmm.
London obviously is the top team, as they had Domi, but Domi isn't there anymore. It seems like. But actually, looking at the roster, he's back on it. So I don't know what's going on there. But he just put up so much points. I think he put up 8. They had 9 goals altogether, and by himself, De Kaiser had 6 goals. That's insane, especially against Domi. Domi knows what he's doing, and
Did Domi play in that game?
Yeah, he played defense.
Yeah, that's huge.
Played defense.
Domi played NHL defense last season. Like, Domi's a very, very good player. So if you're gonna score 6 goals against Domi, like, that's worth mentioning for sure.
Yeah, that's impressive stats. Even though he had his 1 game over, he's still number 1 in the whole this whole CHL in points because he's still going to be at, I think, 18, I believe.
Yeah, he's one ahead of me at 18.
Yeah.
That is just insane to put up that kind of numbers against him. Patan, who's your surprising team?
My surprising team, honestly, has to be, well, first of the week, probably Belleville. I honestly did not even expect them to end up middle of the week, the only undefeated team left in the O. Honestly, like, they were, I think it was 4-0. They were undefeated with the first 4 games, and that honestly took me by surprise, especially with the teams they played the first 4 games. I know that they really lit up the other Domies team. Forgot what team he was. I think the score was like
The
Erie?
Otters.
yeah, the score was like 15-2. I looked at that and my jaw dropped. I was like, wow, that is brutal.
The other player scored 14 points in that game, I think.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of their players scored a lot of points that game.
Is that all
That's
you
a
have?
that's a no. I'm just saying that's a real beatdown.
He's still in shock.
A name like you mentioned was Kingston. I honestly didn't expect Kingston to come out 6-3. I mean, I know T Briggs. He's a very good manager. He's a very good defenseman. I know that he really knows what he's doing when it comes to management. But nevertheless, just like you did, I looked at their roster and I did not expect much out of them, and they really took me by surprise. That's all I got.
Okay. So yeah, T Briggs is known pretty much around just about any league, in the lower levels at least. He's a pretty good defenseman. He's a really cool guy. I think he's like 30 or something like that, and he drinks just about every night. So it's a hell of a lot of fun in the club with him.
Well, they got Blue too, right? Blue's the GM of that team. He's been around for a couple seasons. He knows what he's doing.
Who's that?
Blue Steel.
Oh, Blue Steel. Yeah, Blue Steel. I've
Yeah.
had
Yeah,
personal issues with him.
Hello.
I've had personal issues because I'm not exactly the nicest guy, but I remember again Kamloops reference. He was middle of the pack, and he took us his team really took us deep into it. I think we won in like 6, but every game seemed to be like a 1-goal game. And,
What team was he that season?
I think it was Prince George. Prince George.
Yeah, that's right.
So he definitely knows what he's doing, and he's got the experience. BB, what do you think? Who's your surprise teams?
Alright, so my surprise team is actually somebody that I feel actually really snuck up, and somebody that I feel I actually kind of doubted myself, is the Plymouth Whalers. Now, I'm not necessarily sure exactly how many, if they had any players that played the over amount of games or not, but for them to be a 6-3 team, Shattenkirk is a guy that really knows what he's doing. I had him on my team last year. He's a great player. He's done a really good job with this team at management. They're 6-3. They are currently second in the division, only behind the 7-2 Petersboro Petes, who are actually first in the Western Conference. So the fact that they're contending with a couple of the best teams in the league really shocks me. Actually, they put up a 38-4 and 30 goals against, so they have 8 more goals than they've let in. They've put in 8 more than they've let in. And that's kind of actually a team that took me by surprise. And like Breck said, Kingston, definitely another team that took me by surprise. 6-3, one of the better teams in the league with Playmaker leading the way. He had a couple of team switches I know this season. So those are 2 teams that actually really took me by surprise. I didn't expect them to do that good, actually. So, yeah, props to those 2 teams.
All right, Mr. Golden Aces, what are your surprise teams?
I'm gonna go with the general consensus here and say Kingston as well. I know Playmaker from previous teams and previous leagues, as well as I do Briggs. I looking at their roster, I know that they had a couple of good guys, but I didn't think that they'd be playing as well as they did. I figured they'd be around the 4-5 range, 5-4, 4-4-1 kind of area. So, that's a big surprise. And then, as I believe it was Cheap said, Belleville, or whoever it was that said Belleville, sorry, them going 4-5 after their 4-0 start, that's huge. Having the huge start that they did and then losing 5 straight. It's funny how leagues work sometimes, but it's just you get on a streak and it won't stop, whether it's winning or losing. So that's another surprise for me. And then a little bit of Drummondville, but their roster seems okay. But them going 7-2 is kind of surprising to me as well.
Yeah, I think Kingston, they actually switched to AGMs maybe about a couple of days before the season started. Didn't they switch to AGMs? They had Bobby Orr.
Yeah, and they
Yeah, they
took
took
Briggs.
Briggs instead of Bobby Orr. So they switched AGMs like maybe a matter of a couple of days before first game started, which is also another factor to probably mention in this, because Briggs kind of came into a situation where it was kind of a little bit foggy, I guess you could say. He didn't necessarily know everything that Playmaker was going to do. So the
Yeah.
fact that they had to switch AGM so quickly is another thing to really take note of, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Cheap, the final one.
Okay, so I've got two teams that have. I don't even want to say they've surprised me because I know they were going to be decent, but I didn't think they were going to be this good. And I think I owe this to Tricks, but the Quebec Ramparts, apart from them playing too many guys, have had a phenomenal week. They currently sit at 8-1. Now, obviously, that's going to get turned over to 7-2. But even then, 7-2 that's a solid record for a Week 1 team in the CHL. They've managed to bring their guys together. Other than the one player who's played too many games, it looks like everyone's getting points. Everyone's contributing. I think these guys are going to be a serious contender in the next couple of weeks, and they're going to be a team that we need to look out for. Go away. Someone's calling me. My next team is, let me back up here. It's the Huskies. Looking at their roster, I know Bolt's the GM, obviously, he's a skilled player. But, again, going up and down this list, King Onage is really one of the only members on the team I recognize.
Yeah.
Again, Jerome, we've seen him bidding. He went up for a little bit. He was in everyone's scouting games. Everyone got to see him. Using bongs a lot. I've seen in other leagues. But it was one of these teams I just kind of looked at, and I kind of went, yeah, they'll be okay. But, I mean, they sit 7-1-1 right now. So they had a great week. And it's looking like they're going to be a team that's going to be tough to play in the upcoming weeks. You can't look past these guys.
Stoli the goalie, he's 5-1 with an 81.7 save percentage. It's actually somebody that kind of snuck up on a couple of people, I feel like. He came in one of my scouting games. I never heard of his name before, but and I know it's only week 1, but, going 5-1, 81.7 save percentage with only 2.72 goals allowed average. That's not too shabby. That's not bad at all. So he's kind of somebody I feel that's really been kind of a sleeper, I guess you could say. Somebody that snuck up on a lot of teams. A lot of UMJ teams really slept on him. He could be a force to be reckoned with if he keeps this pace up, definitely.
So yeah, Huskies were another team that, to me, I didn't even really go into the two JHL teams, but Huskies, they were really a sleeper. Like, I honestly never thought too much of them. I looked at their roster and that's a above average team. But then they come out and they're second? No, they're third in the queue.
They're third in the queue, but I mean,
They're going to be second.
That's a pretty freaking good record, man.
They're going to be second, so because Ramparts are going 7-2.
Yeah, because of that.
To say the one thing that will kill both of those teams is they do not have a lot of prospects.
Mm-hmm.
The Ramparts have 5 total prospects. The rest are veterans. They can easily get called up if they perform way too well.
Onage I could really see Onage getting called up, especially
Yeah,
because he got called up last season.
Actually, no.
Huskies.
Well-known player too, right? So if the right GM gets his rights, like I know Onage played for me last season in Chicago.
Yeah, for the Wolves.
He was one of our best players we had. I mean, there's no doubt that this kid can play. So maybe I'll just say this so that he does get called up and I don't have to deal with him. But whoever has his rights, call this kid up. He's solid.
The thing that's going to hurt calling him up is he has over a $5 million bid.
Yeah.
That's just about enough to really keep him in the queue.
But you know what, though? The AHL bidding, you don't see the craziness that we saw in CHL. You don't see guys going for $7 million, right? A lot of these guys, like star players in the AHL, go for like $4 million.
Sure.
So there's a lot of teams that have cap that can probably afford him.
Yeah. And their cap is also $5 million more too. Like I think their most expensive player was CT, who I know. I think he was the most expensive player. He was around $7 million. So and we've got $10 million on goalies down here. So
yeah,
goalies only play one game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, our next one is teams that have fallen off the wagon, obviously. Teams that you think have not performed at all of what you thought they would. BB, do you have any?
Okay, so I hate to say this. I hate to dog my own team, but I feel my own team went way worse than a lot of people expected them to. I know in my the thread that I posted, the post bidding rankings, a lot of people were saying that they had some high expectations of us. I know I forgot. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Hobo Nurport. He's the GM of Hershey in the AHL. He said that
Hobo on your porch.
yeah, he said that he expected us to do pretty well, but now when you look at us right now, we are literally the worst team in the whole OHL. We had 3 losses that were forfeits because people were failing to show up. We had 2 losses that were 11-1 due to poor goaltending, and that goalie is out the door completely. Ice Cubano, who was supposed to be a GM. He was supposed to be a GM, Cubano.
I could have told you that was a mistake.
He's out the door to the team that's 0-9, the Shawinigan Characterettes, and we got next Primus for him, so we won that deal.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, we got Primus, and I've already gotten a couple offers. But you know, anyways, I thought personally we were going to be doing a lot better. I expected a lot more out of my team, especially considering the 3 forfeit losses. So our team really fell off a lot. We started 2-1 for the first 3 games, and then after that we lost a lot of games. I believe 5 or 6 straight. Yeah, 6 straight losses. So we really fell off a lot there at the end. So hopefully we can try to turn it around in week 2 and get a run.
Alright, Cheap, you got any teams that you think fell off the wagon? Oh, of course, we're not even there.
Think you had a phone call there, Cheap.
Yeah,
Slacking.
ridiculous. Trying to do a show and you got a phone call.
Popular guy, man. Popular guy.
Yeah. Who are your surprise teams that fell off the wagon?
Who, me?
No. The fucking Canadian flag in the back.
Okay. Well, sorry, BB, but
I said it myself. I don't care. I said it myself.
see, for me, it was. I honestly expected you to have players on your team that nobody really knew because you, as we all know, you and Zach knew the CHL better than anyone last season. Some of these guys coming back, you guys may have known that, like that goalie, Jay Money or whatever. I didn't even know who the hell that kid was, and I saw him go for whatever the hell Zach paid for him.
7.5, and they traded him right after Zach left.
Yeah, so
we'll get on that later, though, I guess.
Yeah, so I mean, like, in my eyes, you guys had an advantage over guys like me and Breck, guys who come from the higher leagues. Yes, we know guys from the higher leagues, and some guys may have changed their gamer tags that we know about, but at the end of the day, you have to know your core guys, your third-line guys. That's what's going to win you games, and I really thought you were going to pull out, bud. But you know what? Rough weeks happen, whatever. I mean, you guys will get over it, I'm sure.
Yeah. We got a couple of big people in trades, too, especially.
Yeah, you guys definitely made some big moves this week, and we'll be touching on that in a little bit. My other team, though, would have to be myself, my team. I felt I drafted a very strong team, and I still feel I've drafted a very strong team, but we've had a couple of games that we lost that maybe we shouldn't have lost. We played some poopy-ass team on Monday that beat us. Probably should have beat them.
I remember that poopy-ass team taking a lot of penalty minutes, giving you the game, and you still somehow lose it. So
can I mark that down as you guys talking about yourself?
Yeah, go for it, whatever.
Yeah.
Honestly, though,
you brought it.
I know. But yeah, no, I'm going to pick myself because I think as a team, we need to do better. 5-4 as we sit right now, but we'll see after a couple rulings. I expected us to be up at 8-1, if not 9-0. So I'm going to pick myself. What the hell was that?
This guy's got really high expectations. This guy, oh my goodness. When you have Wellesley on your team, you cannot expect to go that high. Come on now.
No, bro, he's nuts.
Alright, any random can play me. Anybody can play there.
Obviously, you played there, right?
All right. Exactly. That should prove it. All right, I'm gonna go with mine. One of mine is Gatineau. Gatineau finished 1-8. I thought that they were a very subpar team, if not better. 1-8 is not what I expected. They only scored a total of 18 goals and gave up 33. That is 18 goals is not gonna win you any game really too much in a week. You really got to step that one up. Another one as well is BB's. I expected a lot. I expected him to be top 4,
Getting hated on,
and
man.
of course he got.
I did too. It's
What's
not
that?
hate, it's motivation. It's not hate, it's motivation. I know 2-7
man.
is not acceptable. I don't find it acceptable whatsoever. I expected us to go 5-4, no less.
Another one I gotta say is Belleville. Going
Yeah.
4-0 and ending on 5 losses. It's something you can obviously change. Because 5 losses in a row doesn't happen much. And Blue Steel
Yeah.
obviously knows how the retards that don't know how to play puck are gone. So I
Yeah.
really do not expect another week like that out of them. Quinn, you got anybody?
I'm just gonna say, for record's sake, Shawnigan going 0-9. Like, it's very tough to not get 0 in the CHL, and for them to do that and only score 12 goals, that's pretty bad. So, like, I didn't really know their team prior, but to see
Don't
a team go
sugarcoat it.
0-9. Yeah, sorry. But to see a team go 0-9 is pretty bad. And then my other team is kind of similar to Belleville, but on our side of the spectrum over here, and that's Val d'Or. They
Yeah.
started the week at 4-0, and they were a tough competition for us, and they seemed like a really good team. And then after that, they just dropped off the wagon, like literally. They ended up going 5-4 after being a 4-0 start, and that was really surprising to me. So yeah,
Something to consider with Shawinigan is that they do have their GM, Chilled Riot. This is his first year in management. That's something to consider now as well.
There's a
Well,
lot of
they
first-year
spent $8 million on
managers.
fourth line Worthy.
And then traded him to one of the better teams in the queue in the Voltigeurs, who are 7-2. Fourth line could definitely do some good damage for them. I wouldn't be shocked to see the Voltigeurs do what your team did this week,
Yeah.
Breck, and possibly pull a 9-0 run. It wouldn't shock me whatsoever.
It's too much to play for one player, though.
yeah.
Yeah,
For me,
very.
like, fourth line,
He's a good player, don't get me wrong, but
he got overpaid though. He did get
that's
overpaid.
too much. You can't build a
Hands
team around
down.
that.
Yeah, like
But
I said from the start, I think he was about a $5 million player at max because we were going for him too, and it's just there's no way he should be being paid eight and a quarter, 8.5, whatever it was. Like, that's
Yeah.
just ridiculous. Like, he's a cool guy, he's a good player, but no.
And he has experience of being on a winning team. Like, when you think about it, him and defense were Memorial Cup champions last season in CHL for the 67. So he's used to being on a winning team.
Yeah.
Now he got traded to a winning team. So the pattern will probably continue for him. He's a good player, but like you said, he's overpaid way too much. And like, I bid it on him. I stopped at maybe 2 mil. I bid it on J Money, stopped at like 5 mil. Who are both really good players, but in the end, when you bid on a guy for a quarter, almost a half of your salary, you can't expect to have too much success. Sudbury too.
Yeah, unless they're like an extremely, like 10 points a game player, you're not gonna get what
Exactly.
they're worth for a third of the money. Like, that's a third of
not
your
worth
money. We had this instance in season 3, I think it was, right, Breck, when we did the show last time. Yager got paid like $10 million, and every week he was on the cold list. Yeah, every week he was on the cold list. He couldn't perform because I don't know what it was, but he had nobody around him to help him because they had no cap to do it with. So, another thing, like, it's stupid.
I almost felt bad for paying somebody 4.5 mil. He got traded, but I paid him so much, and I
Yeah.
felt stupid for doing it, because I felt like, well, I probably could have possibly gotten maybe a couple of people on the fence that really, kind of actually did pretty darn well. I feel.
Yeah.
So even bidding somewhere around 4.5 mil or 5 mil or
Yeah.
5.5, even that can really hit you sometimes in
Now,
season.
the only good thing about bidding a lot on people is it ensures they're not going to get called up, so you know they're going to be on your team. But
Money,
there's so many
money.
more downsides to it.